their civic duty today. I'll start to take some attendance. Looks like we got, I see P in health. Mr. Bird, I see AP Physics. I see Brown, Computer Science. She's logging in now. I see Study Hall getting logged in. I see Worldview. I see Chemistry, Algebra 2. Yep.
It's got a delay on it.
Biology, Mrs. Jones. I see her. Finite Math, Dual Credit. I see Miss Rumkey. We got Band. Excellent. Band is here.
Okay.
BTS 2. Love it. Mr. Smith. 2D Art. Mr. Sparks. Well, Mr. Bird's really freaking me out with that refraction. Economics with Stevenson. I see that. Mr. Triple has Ethnic Studies. I see that. I see English 10 checked in. Spanish
Okay.
3.
Hold on a second.
Good.
Really quickly, we're going to watch this video, but for the next few moments, keep your mask on, and then, because I'm going to come around and pass out everything I need to pass out, so that for the rest of class, we can have our masks down, okay?
With world history. Awesome. All right, 8th period, here we go. We made it to the end of the day. And after school ends, I'm going to share a video with you all of our student council members that gave up a day of their summer to come in and shoot that video. And of course, we're giving a big thank you to Dalton for the editing on that video.
Oh.
There are a few small things that have changed because of the city and county health department. They got some stricter rules on us in the last couple weeks, mainly surrounding lunch rules. So you'll hear the student council say, "Hey, it's 6 to a table." Well, that used to be okay. Now it's not. Anyway, we didn't go in and edit all that out, so you can still see the whole video. Okay? All of the rest of that video is very applicable to what we are still asking you to do. So we'll let them explain it to you in their words. It's been a lot to take in. Almost everything you are doing is a new normal. But I want to finish this day where we started. Right? I want to ask you, what does the community that you all want to build this year look like? Right? Will we be a community that regularly engages in isolation, in bullying, in pessimistic behavior, right? Maybe showing attitudes that are antagonistic, maybe discriminatory, right? Maybe things that leave people out. Do you want to be a community that lets a friend be involved in a self-harm cycle and stay in that cycle? Or will we be a community of understanding, patience,
Threw that at you.
right? A community brave enough, right? It takes courage to talk to the adults that you trust about real life issues. It takes courage to look out for your friends. It takes courage to be a good listener, even if you disagree with someone's stance on something. So how seriously do you take that charge, right? What kind of community do you want to build here? This is the Lord's school. Seniors, it ultimately starts with you guys. I'm very excited about our seniors class. I think you guys can set an excellent tone. I see so many great leaders in that group. But remember, we all have a role to play, juniors, sophomores, freshmen. You guys get to determine the type of community that will be built here. This will always be the Lord's school, but you will determine our community. Lean into those teachers. Talk about things that are real. So, thank you for a great first day. And don't forget to mask up till you get to your vehicle as you leave. right? School may end, but while you're in this building, we are still monitoring how we spend our time, wearing our masks.
You guys can take your masks off.
There's only 3 chairs at those common tables. You can stay and work. If there's more seats at the table, though, you need to stay masked up. All right? Love you guys. You had a great first day. Thank you for everything, and let's have a great year. See ya.
Okay. All right, guys, so bear with me leave meeting. For just a second. This will be the only day that we have to do this, but I have to do a seating chart. So I'm going to take attendance. I know a lot of you. I don't know all of you. So this will be a time for me to get to know your name and to do the seating chart. Okay? So once I'm going to take attendance first, and once I get done with that, then feel free to talk amongst yourselves for a few minutes, all right? Because it'll probably take me a minute or two to do it. And I got to see if Hannah is here, all right. I know. It's that little thing that Brad made for every class over the summer, which is wild. He did that. Okay. Sorry. Also, I gotta make sure I'm not yelling into this. Hey guys, really quickly, let me do attendance. If you go by a name that is different than what I call out, please let me know. Even if it's just shortened. So Claire, is it a card? Akard. All right. Are you new? Yeah. Great. Where did you come from? Oh, I was expecting a city in Indy, not that. Cool. Okay, great. Happy to have you here. Okay. Let me, after class, stay for like a few minutes and let me chat with you. Just because it's abnormal for a senior transfer to be in Worldview. Not a bad thing at all. I just want to chat and make sure that you're where you should, not where you should be, where you need to be. Yeah, oh yeah. Hannah is at home. Hi, Hannah. Connor Brockett. Gianna. Yeah. You don't go by like Gia or anything?
You can if you want.
That's okay. I'll call you Gianna. I don't think we're that cool with each other yet. Yeah. Hannah. Oh, up front. Ethan. Where do I saw you? Ty. Where's Ty? Over there. Mitch. In front. All right. Megan. Lepley. Aaliyah. Faith. I saw Faith. Yeah. Elizabeth Perry. Oh, got her in front. Okay. Caleb. And Devon. Perfect. Okay, so talk amongst yourselves for a second. Let me do the seating chart and then come back.
I like get bored when I'm sitting, so like I just start like stretching my arms and everything. What are you doing when you feel messed up?
Or exercising.
Why? Okay. Pretty sure you eaten off of the same food that I've eaten off of. No.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
First day of school. I feel like a... No. Coffee.
I have a feeling this year's going to be a little hard.
A little hard with what?
Just in general.
In general. My classes are a lot harder than I expected.
Yeah,
But it's
they're...
okay.
Oh yeah, I forgot your son was into Pokemon. I was like, what is this for 1 year?
Yeah. He was into Pokemon over the summer for a hot minute, and now he's not. After we spent like $100 on like, over the summer on like cards and stuff. One day he woke up and he was like, I'm not really into that anymore. It's like, I'm selling all of it then.
Well, don't sell it. I still want it.
Yeah, that's the way it is with everything. Kids.
My classes are definitely a lot harder than my college.
Okay. All right, guys, that was easy. That wasn't that bad. All right, is Hannah still with us? We still got a stream? Yeah, we're here. Okay. Let me. I can cancel out of that, I think. Yeah.
She saw me wave, guys.
Where are you from, bro?
Ooh, hold on. I need to.
Oh, I just got a little buzz, and I was thinking,
You got a little buzz.
here's the buzz. Take a little bit.
All right.
I mean, I get multiple buzzes from it. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's get started. We're not going to go through like the syllabus in a traditional format where I pull it up and then we talk about it. I'm not going to do that because that's kind of boring. But today and tomorrow, what we are going to do is go through the foundations of this course to try to give you a picture. I want to give you a picture of what the course is and why it is important. All right? So, but I also want to start with saying, okay, start by going through day to day, what is our process going to be? Outside of like spraying of hands, masks on, masks off, like all of the COVID-19 policies and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in and I start every class with prayer, but it's not like, all right, let's pray, and then I pray like extemporaneously, right? Which is off the top of my head. Or, you know, if you go to church and you see a pastor come up and like, oh, okay, let's pray. Everyone bow their heads and he just prays or she just prays. This comes from... This comes from the Book of Common Prayer, which is Church of England in America that's referred to as Anglicanism, like the Anglican Church. And it's all written. Probably sometime later on in the semester, we'll probably get into a conversation of why I think that this is better than extemporaneous prayer, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But it is also referred to as like a liturgy. So each week, every day, I will start class with a different prayer. Not every day, but each week there'll be a different prayer that we'll do 4 times during that week, right? The goal is not like for you to memorize it, but the goal is that we want to center ourselves when we come into this class because there is a lot of extra crap going on in our lives, especially here. And also, like, I want this to be one of the last times that I actually talk about the other stuff because honestly, like, I'm just sick of it. We've been in like orientation and gotten, you know, updates on stuff for the last like month. And now that we're here, it is what it is. Let's move forward. I'm over it. Not over safety. I care about your health and my health very much. But I'm over like, we're in unprecedented time. Just move on. Like we're over. Like let's just live our lives. Again, safely. And with health as our first concern. But I want to start today and tomorrow with this prayer from the Book of Common Prayer that is for schools and colleges. You'll hear this a lot, especially in April when we get to the presentation part of Worldview. And where we start every presentation with this prayer. But I wanted to start today and tomorrow with it because I want it to be the thing that we focus on as to why we're here. Not just in this class, but in this school as a whole. Okay? So, pray with me. And you can pray however you'd like. Close your eyes, bow your head, whatever. Okay? So, pray with me. O eternal God, bless all schools, colleges, and universities, in particular Covenant Christian High School, that they may be lively centers for sound learning, new discovery, and the pursuit of wisdom. And grant that those who teach and that those who learn may find you to be the source of all truth, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Okay, then after that, we'll basically I'll say, okay, guys, get out your commonplace books, and then we will get started with class and we'll jump right in with whatever we're doing that day. All right. Also, would you get out your commonplace books? They're the black books that Wildman gave you, if you've gotten one today from English. Wildman, I think tomorrow he's going to talk about what that is, and he'll refer to the commonplace as like an external mind and stuff like that. And it's great. Most people in Worldview use it for notes and use it for like thoughts and ideas and things like that when we get into this class. And I'm okay with that. But here's what I would suggest. If you're using it for more than one class, like I would say use one for 2 classes, mostly because I get anxious thinking about you guys even just writing one page, like, the first page for notes in English, and then just flipping the page and doing Worldview, then English and Worldview. That's so scattered. Like that makes me want to breathe into a brown paper bag. But if you would, I think that, and this is just a little note, you can take this or leave it, don't care. But if you, open it and start on page 1 with English, great. But just keep, half of the book for English. Then don't flip it like this. Flip it like this. And then you can just have it be the same way, right? You open it the same way, but it's upside down and backwards. What? Okay. That's okay if that stresses you out. You do you. Don't care. I'm just trying to give you a really easy way to get 2 classes in this and to not have to worry about flipping back and forth, what page was that? Where did we go over that? It's all right there, okay? And that really is kind of a way for me to sneak in this comment. Worldview has Christian Worldview, this class, has a lot of different stuff going on in it. And it has a lot of moving parts. Right? You're spinning a lot of plates. How many more analogies or illustrations can I give for the complexity of this class? Success, and what I mean by success is not getting an A. People are successful in this class who get D's or C's or B's. There are a lot of people who have gone through this class and gotten an A and not been successful by my standard. Success is not a grade, it's transformation. Are you different and are you more mature? Have you grown at all in your faith, in your emotional capacity, psychologically, just as a human being, not as a student, from now until May? That's what I mean by success. The main way to be successful in this class, and this is really important, is to be organized. So go get a folder from Target, like a 99-cent folder that's just the 2 where you can keep all of your Worldview stuff in. It's all right there for you, right? Have your Google Drive be really clean to where you have a folder for Worldview and everything is in there, right? Just little things like that you guys might not even think about, but that it is literally my job to think about. Do those things. That will make it easy for you to be successful, and I think that if you do those things, the grade kind of comes along with it. At least that's been my observation of the way the students have kind of approached this class in the past. So take that for what you will and do whatever you want with it. Now, here's what I want to go to next is I want to talk about the goals of this class because I want to demystify this class. This class has a lot of, people talk about it a lot, about how hard it is, how maybe easy it is, how, intellectual it is, and philosophical and theological. All of that crap might be true, but all of that stuff has to be filtered through the lens of what I'm about to tell you, okay? Because this is really my goal in the class as a whole. Not to know big words, to be able to articulate complex ideas, though that might be a byproduct of this class and what we do in it. That's not the goal. The goal of this class is very simple. And the way that I want to kind of give this to you or present it to you is not just to tell you, but to have you connect with it. So here's what I'm going to do. In your commonplace book, I want you to write, or just on a sheet of paper, doesn't matter, whatever you have in front of you. I want you to give me 2 responses to this question. And the question is kind of simple, but also really difficult when you begin to think about it. What are you doing when you feel the most alive? So what is it that you are doing in those moments when you feel like your body is on fire, in a good way, right? Where you can apprehend reality and the world around you. Let me give you 2 examples to kind of help get the juices flowing in my own life. Really quickly. Number 1, my son Leo is reading, and he started reading in kindergarten. He's going into 1st grade. And over the summer, we kind of bumped him up from the little sentence books, they have 3 sentences on a page with all CVC words like cat, map, bat, right? And we're moving on to more 2, 3, 4 syllable words. We're reading this book on the gospel, and it has the word wretched in it. And we were reading it 2 nights ago, and as he got to that word, I almost stopped him and was like, oh, hey, bud, this is a hard word. Because of the, like, W and R, like, when you're first learning how to read, that's really difficult to pronounce and enunciate, the R. So he was like, warrior. And then the TCH is also really complicated. But he started to, like, go letter by letter and then put the syllables together and then finally said it. And it was like, re-t-ch-d. And then just like said it again really fast and said, wretched. I almost started crying. It was like, not because like he just read it, like that's becoming a commonplace thing, but you could see the processes going through in his mind, that he was going through in his brain, of what he had learned previously and putting those together. When I use the word magical, I'm not being hyperbolic, like that was a magical experience. It produced like so much wonder. I couldn't sleep that night because I kept thinking about it and how excited I was for him. The second is over quarantine, I picked up the hobby, and I say hobby because I'm not good at it at all, but I do enjoy doing it, of fishing. I fished when I was a kid, but I ended up hating it because my dad made me hate it. Because he was always like really mean and overbearing and like, oh, put the worm on yourself. And I was like, I don't want to hook myself. Like 7 years old trying to put a worm on a hook, and half the time I hooked myself. And so he was just overbearing and I just didn't like it at all. But I finally picked it back up. And the thing is that this is going to sound awful, but know that I'm kind of exaggerating a little bit in this. But over quarantine, had a friend say, hey, let's go fishing. Like, it was like a Saturday or something. And fishing is something that you can distance in because you're outside and you can stay, 15, 20 feet apart and still, like, talk to each other. But fishing also is a very, like, it's a sport that kind of promotes solitude. Just go out and, you're just by yourself. We went to this local pond and cast the rod and just reeling it in, and like kind of boring after a while because you don't really catch anything. You might get some nibbles, but one time like got the nibble where like the pole moved and it like it's not hitting the bottom, but like that it's something, and so like time in that moment just slows down. You're like, oh, like you might be talking, but then you're like, oh, and like you become really focused, like intensely focused on it. You slow down your reeling, and the moment that you get it again, you kind of pull back a little. Then you see the line do this. Like to know that you got something and like you reel it in. When that happened for me, I turned into like a 5-year-old. It was like, like it turned in like yelling at my friend, like squealing like that, because like I hadn't fished in years. And so the fact that I could catch a bass, I mean the bass was like that big. It was like a baby largemouth bass. Like it wasn't that impressive, but it was for me. In that moment when you see the hook going, when I saw the hook doing this like a figure 8, my nerve endings were on fire. My heart began to beat faster. My breath quickened. I started to sweat. Like that was life for me. That was like the greatest moment in my life. Again, exaggerating, only kind of, because it was amazing. That's what I mean by alive. I'm not talking about like, oh, I'm breathing. Like when I breathe, I know that I'm alive. No. I'm talking about when you feel alive, like when everything around you becomes like it's in an aquarium, where it slows down and like everything's floating. That's what I mean by that. So give me 2 things for you. What are 2 things that you do that cause you to feel the most alive? Let's take like 45 seconds. Yeah, I know. It's all right. If you only come up with one, not a big deal. Okay, I'm just going to pick a few people. We're not going to get to everybody just because of time, but I'm going to pick a few people. Faith, what's one for you?
I wrote one down, but then after you described it,
Can I ask just what you wrote down?
yeah,
Okay, great.
expectations, or they reach your expectations.
Yeah. No, that's okay. I don't think that that's a bad one, and I don't think that's dark either. I mean, the moments that you feel alive are when people surprise you. 100%. I'm okay with that. I agree with that completely. Yeah. No, I agree. I think I like that. I like that example. What else? Devon, what'd you say? For me, it's hitting golf balls straight. Because that's like 1 out of every 100 swings I make. Hit one straight, and it's like hooking that first fish where you're like, oh, I did it. And then that keeps you going for the next like 100 until you hit the next one straight. Yeah. No, that's good. What else? Aaliyah, what about for you?
I put playing sports and soccer.
So what is it about playing sports that makes you feel alive? Because I think it's a little bit more specific than just playing sports, right?
I think it's like more the competition. So like if we get like specific,
I would love that.
well, if I'm playing soccer, like having a really good save, or if I'm playing with my brother, then like the competition's really fun. So like
Yeah.
doing that. Yeah, I think it's the competition.
No, that's great. There have been people. There's been a student in every other class that has said something along those lines of like football, basketball, soccer, all of that. And I think competition is what it like really gets into or gets down to, is that you feel the most alive. Like you feel alive when all of the work that you've put into that moment actually pays off, or if it doesn't. And then the work that you put in after that, and then it does pay off later on. There's a worldview thesis somewhere in there about like failure and the role of failure in success. That's interesting. But yeah, I love that. That's fantastic. Let's do one more. Ty.
When I'm playing well in baseball,
Mm-hmm.
what you're talking about like it slowing down, like that'll like if I'm playing well and I'm like zoned in, and as the pitch is coming in, that's like what it is. It slows down, and then I like see it onto the bat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Psychologically, that's called like being in the zone, right? Yeah. Absolutely. That's great. Here's the thing. The reason I ask this question and that I want to start with this question is not because it equates directly with Christian worldview, that like time slows down when you believe in Jesus. No. But the idea of let me say it this way. The goal of this class is to really get to the heart of what is it about a worldview that sets it apart from other things. Because we're going to study a lot of different worldviews in this class. We'll talk about atheism and pantheism and rationalism and logical positivism and all these other things that people attest to say, this is the way that I view the world and it's what works for me. And some parts of those different worldviews, there are truths in them, lowercase t truths, right? That they make sense. And that's good, and they should be. That's why people believe them. But there's one thing that separates, in my mind, the Christian worldview from that. And it's the idea of the Christian worldview makes me feel alive. Let me give another word for that. The Christian worldview is the one thing that in all circumstances, the one worldview, that in all circumstances, I can find this thing called joy in it. And that's the goal of this course. Let me illustrate this by reading a psalm. Psalm 16. This is a psalm of David, and I'm just going to read the latter half of it. So from verse 5 through 11. Verse 11 is really the main focus of what I want you guys to get from this, okay? The Lord is my chosen portion and my cup. You hold my lot. The lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. Indeed, I have a beautiful inheritance. I bless the Lord who gives me counsel. In the night also my heart instructs me. I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I shall not be shaken. Therefore my heart is glad, and my whole being rejoices. My flesh also dwells secure. For you will not abandon my soul to Sheol, or let your Holy One see corruption. And this is the important part. You make known to me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore. So the goal of this class is not to know what to believe that is right. That will come. And believing the right thing is important. But it's not the primary goal of this class. The primary goal of this class is to say, is there a worldview that is not only true, sure, but also that is in alignment with my experiences that produces this thing called deep, sustainable joy. Right? So like this is where the Christian worldview separates itself from everything else in the sense of pain and suffering. Joy and pain are not mutually exclusive ideas in the Christian worldview, but in Buddhism they are. The idea that I can use the Christian worldview, I can have this Christian worldview and encounter pain and suffering, and joy is still the goal of that experience, that separates Christianity from everything else. Everything that we do in this class, all the questions that we're going to talk about probably Monday, and into next week, that are the basis for this class, 15 of life's universal questions, right? The answer to all of those, if your worldview does not, if the answer to all of those is not deep, sustainable joy, or it doesn't produce deep, sustainable joy, then your worldview is garbage. Just toss it. Because you got to believe in something else. Because that's the goal of this. Because in your presence, in the presence of God, there is fullness of joy. I've experienced that, and I believe in Christianity because I've experienced that. Not vice versa. Not my beliefs in Christianity have brought me joy. But I've experienced that joy, and it makes all of the other stuff true. That's what we're getting at with worldview. We're going to talk about a lot of heady stuff and big words and big ideas, but none of that matters if you don't get this idea that deep, sustainable joy is the goal of all of this. Okay? So, that's the goal of the class. We just happen to write a thesis paper and defend it and do all this other stuff with those things. Okay? Class policies, really quickly, and I mean really quickly. We've already talked about mask. Simple. All this is on the syllabus, by the way. You can go read that if you want, but I would suggest reading it, but I'm not going to read it word for word. Two other things. For the sake of our health, don't eat in here. You can drink. You can have a water bottle. You can have an Nalgene or whatever else. Just don't bring food, because food, I think, produces more aspiration than just drinking, just to help promote safety in the classrooms. The second is if you need to go to the bathroom, literally just stand up and just like give me a head nod and then go. Because nothing is more soul-crushing for me if I'm pouring my heart out to you and I get a hand up like, yes, Mitch, give me a question. Can I go to the bathroom? Just gut me. So, just give me a head nod and go. And I'll either say, okay, or just wait, right? Whatever. So those are really the policies. And I've got a cell phone policy, but I'm going to try to have fun with the cell phone policy this year, and I'll tell you more about that tomorrow.
You wasn't teaching us when I was there.
That's true. Day one, we've got grades. All right, hey guys, really quickly. Here's the last thing I want to talk about. Get out that piece of paper that has all of the writing on it that starts with Worldview reader and topical reading responses. Tomorrow we're going to talk all through the thesis process and what that means and our meetings, and which are the backbone of this class. But today really what I want to end with is to say this class is a project-based course. And what that means is that next week you guys are going to be picking one of the topics of the 15 that I referenced. That is going to be the thing that you read about. I'm going to give you 4 readings to read at the start, and then you get to choose whatever other ones after you develop your thesis. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. That one topic is going to be the thing that you read about, that you research, that you write about, that you think about for the entire year. So choose wisely. And that's the project. The project of this course is your Christian Worldview senior thesis paper that you will defend in front of your peers in April. Okay? As we'll talk about tomorrow, not everyone will present. You got to earn the right to present. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow, though. But it's a project-based course. So tomorrow we'll talk about the thesis process and the meetings. But in order to highlight that that is the main project, but we do other things, the little Worldview topics reader in front of you, that booklet that I gave you, don't freak out. That's the whole year, okay? Or the first 3 quarters, all right? There is a reading in there for each of the topics that everyone will do. I think the first one is due like August 27th, or it's in Canvas. It's a Pascal response is what it is. So the first topic we're going to start discussing in about a week and a half is knowledge. What is my experience? We're going to talk about longing. We're going to talk about the human condition, the human experience. We'll talk about the duality of man. And all of that comes from Blaise Pascal's, the section that I'm giving you to read from Pensée. It's just French for sayings. It sounds really intimidating, but it's literally like one-liners throughout the whole thing. That's the backbone for my content, lecture, discussion, stuff like that. I want everyone to read it, not just Caleb if he picks knowledge. But the beauty of this is that Pascal is actually the second reading I'm asking you to do. So by reading that in a week and a half, if Caleb picks knowledge, well, he's got two birds with one stone. He can read that and do the response, and then the second reading he doesn't have to worry about doing. So he's automatically done with the first two once he gets done with the first one. Does that make sense? So I'm trying to make these not extra readings, but trying to make them fit into what you're already doing. More efficiency, less work, right? That'll become more clear as we go through it. Yeah, this you won't have to bring to class every day, but I'll let you know when you need to bring it. But this is something that you should not lose. Let me say it one more time. Don't lose that, okay? Because we only have so many. I've got like 3 that are extra. And if more than 3 people lose it, then you're on your own. They're all available on Canvas. But then you have to print them out yourself and use all your pages, and it's a whole ordeal. And you don't want to do that. Plus, I spend a lot of time, energy, and effort making these for you. Because I care and love you all so much that I wanted to make it easy for you. And I'm being very serious when I say that. So, that's the Worldview topic reader. There are 2 questions in your responses. This will be the last thing. I'm going to talk over her. There are 2 questions for the responses, and the responses are not a big deal. They're to show me that you've at least read it and that you're engaging with it. The first question is, how does this reading respond to the topic's question? And the topic for Pascal is knowledge. The topic for Bonhoeffer is purpose, right? So it's not the one you choose. It's the one that we're talking about in the class. The second question is, pick a quote and tell me why you like that quote. Super easy. Not meant to be busy work, but meant to show me that you're engaging with this so that when we get into class with discussions, we can kind of hit the ground running, okay? That's the reader. Are there any questions about that and what's expected of you? All of those dates and stuff are on Canvas. You submit that reading response to Canvas, all pretty plain and simple, okay? All right, tomorrow we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the latter 2 things on here and talk about like the bulk of this course and what that really is, okay? Thank you guys. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you again tomorrow.